Good morning, children. Hearty welcome to all of you for today's English session. Hope all are doing good. Okay, if you are ready, let's move on to our lesson. Madam rides the bus. As you know, we have been discussing the lesson. Almost half of the portion have been completed. So, before moving ahead with the new portion, let me give you a brief summary of the portion that we discussed in the last class. As you know, the lesson has been penned by Vallikannan. Vallikannan is the pseudonym of R.S. Krishnaswamy. He was a Tamil writer, journalist, critic, and translator. Okay, so let's move on to the summary. So, right at the beginning, we are introduced to an 8-year-old girl, Valliamme. We can call her fondly Valli. Yes, the central character of the story. Valli always preferred to observe the street from the doorway of her house. Among all the things she observed, or she was particularly interested in a bus. The bus travelled in between her village and the nearby town. She was envious of her friends who got chance to ride the bus and visit the town. She desperately wished for a chance to have a ride on the bus. One day, one of her friends had a ride on the bus and she described the sights of the town to Valli and her friends. Valli exclaimed sarcastically, "Proud, proud." Neither Valli nor her friends understood what proud meant. They just used it as a slang. Valli gathered information about the town by listening to the passengers who traveled by the bus. She learned that the bus would take 45 minutes to reach the town and the fare for one side was 30 paise. As you know, it was difficult for Valli to afford both sides or both way sides, but she did not give up her hope. She planned, calculated, and recalculated. At last, one spring afternoon, she managed to board the bus. The good-humored bus conductor jokes at her. He addressed her Madam. It created humor among the passengers. Okay, Valli soon got busy admiring the interiors of the bus and the scenery outside. She had to stand on her seat to peer outside. As we know, she was very short, so she had to stand on her seat to peer outside, to look outside. A concerned passenger asked her to sit down, afraid she would hurt herself. But what did she do, children? She retorts that she was not a child because she had paid her fare as elders did. Next, an elderly woman noticed her traveling alone and she also expressed her concern. But again, Valli judged the woman by her unattractive appearance and behaved badly with her. Okay, children, hope you understood the portion that we learned in the last class. We have completed the first two parts. Now let's continue the third. Two parts are left. So in this session, we are going to learn the remaining two parts. Okay. So let's start the third part. Her first journey. What careful, painstaking, elaborate plans she had to make for it. She had thriftily saved whatever stray coins came her way, resisting every temptation to buy peppermints, toys, balloons, and the like. And finally, she had saved a total of 60 paisa. How difficult it had been, particularly that day at the village fair, but she had resolutely stifled a strong desire to ride the merry-go-round, even though she had the money. Okay, so let's see the explanation, children. See the word thriftily. What's the meaning of thriftily? Spend money carefully. Spend money carefully. Then the next word, resolutely stifled. What's the meaning of resolutely stifled? Suppressed or controlled with a determination. Okay, so let's see the explanation. As we know, it's very difficult for her to collect such money or 60 paise. Okay, so listen. Undoubtedly, she had put innumerable amount of effort in planning and saving for her first ever bus journey. Did you get the sentence, children? Undoubtedly, we can say she had put innumerable amount of effort in planning, replanning, recalculated, and saving for her first ever bus journey. It was a dream ride for her, It was a dream ride for her. She resisted every temptation. She resisted every temptation ranging from peppermints, toys, balloons to merry-go-round at the village fair. After so many efforts, she finally saved 60 paise. Okay, so let's move on to the next paragraph. After she had enough money saved, her next problem was how to slip out of the house without her mother's knowledge. But she managed this without too much difficulty. Every day after lunch, her mother would nap from about 1 to 4. Wally always used these hours for her excursions as she stood looking from the doorway of her house, or sometimes even ventured out into the village. Today, these same hours could be used for her first excursion outside the village. Okay, children, let's see the explanation of the second paragraph. Yes, what's the meaning of ventured out? Ventured out means went cautiously. The meaning is given in your textbook. Went cautiously or courageously. Okay, so let's see the explanation. Yes, when the financial problem had been dealt with, she got enough money. She saved 60 paise. Okay, so when the financial obstacle or when the financial problem had been dealt with, what was the next problem? Yes, the next problem was to be able to sneak out without anyone noticing. Have you seen the word, children? Yes, after she had enough money saved, her next problem was how to slip out of the house, how to move out of the house without her mother's knowledge. Then, see, here is the habit of Wally's mother. Usually, Wally's mother used to sleep from 1 to 4 every afternoon. Did you get the sentence, children? Every day after lunch, her mother would nap. You know what's the meaning of nap? Nap means short sleep. So every day after lunch, her mother would nap from about 1 to 4 or so. So Wally used to benefit from this and go to excursions in the village. And this time, see here it is, Wally always used these hours for her excursions as she stood looking from the doorway of her house. Or sometimes even ventured out into the village, even went out of the village courageously. And this time, it could be used for an excursion outside the village. Clear? Sometimes she even ventured out into the village, and today these same hours could be used for her first excursion, that is what is outside the village, that is a bus ride. Hope you understood the second paragraph, children, once again. Yes, when the financial problem had been dealt with, then the next problem was to be able to move out without anyone noticing. Then what's the habit of Wally's mother? Yes, she managed this without much difficulty. What's the reason, children? Because every day or Wally's mother used to sleep from 1 to 4 every afternoon. So Wally used to benefit from this and used to go for excursions in the village. See, here is the last one. Wally always used these hours for her excursions as she stood looking from the doorway of her house, and sometimes even moving out into the village. Or out into the village means that is what is inside the village. And this time it could be used for an excursion outside the village, that is a ride that is outside the village to the nearby town, a ride on a bus to the nearby town. Okay, so let's see the next paragraph. The bus rolled on now, cutting across a bare landscape, now rushing through a tiny hamlet or past an odd wayside shop. Sometimes the bus seemed on the point of gobbling up another vehicle that was coming towards them, or a pedestrian crossing the road. But lo, somehow it passed on smoothly, leaving all obstacles safely behind. Trees came running towards them, but then stopped as the bus reached them and simply stood there helpless for a moment by the side of the road before rushing away in the other direction. Okay, so let's see the new word, children. See here, Hamlet. You know, Hamlet is the name of a book written by Shakespeare. Okay, so here, what's the meaning of Hamlet? Hamlet, a small settlement with a few houses. Here, what's the meaning of Hamlet? A small settlement with a few houses. Clear? So, gobbling up, to swallow or eat hastily. Gobbling up here, gobbling up, to swallow or to eat hastily. Clear? So, the bus rolled on, now cutting across a bare landscape, now rushing through a tiny hamlet or past an odd wayside shop. So now the bus reached an area which did not have any trees. Bare landscape. Have you seen the word? A bare landscape means now the bus has reached an area which did not have any trees. It was a barren land with a few shrubs here and there. So it crossed a small settlement. That is what is a hamlet. What's the meaning of hamlet, children? A small settlement with a few houses. So the bus crossed a small settlement and a shop by the road or by the odd wayside shop. So past an odd wayside shop means a shop by the road. As the bus went with a high speed, Wally thought that it would swallow the ongoing vehicles and the pedestrians. So it was her first time journey. So she thought that it would swallow the bus would swallow or the ongoing vehicles or the pedestrians, but it passed safely, crossing all hurdles. When the bus was moving, it seemed as if trees were rushing towards the bus. So this was her first experience, children, on the point of a girl. When the bus was moving, it seemed as if trees were rushing towards the bus and would stop as soon as the bus reached them. So Wally felt that the bus was moving and it seemed as if trees were rushing towards the bus and would stop as soon as the bus reached them. Then at last the bus crossed them. It appeared as if the trees were running away from the bus. So from this paragraph we can see or we can read the viewpoints of an 8-year-old girl, Wally. So how did she feel the bus journey, children? Yes, the bus now reached an area which did not have any trees, a bare landscape. It was a barren land with a few shrubs here and there. And the bus crossed a small settlement and a shop by the road. As they went with a high speed, Wally felt that it would swallow the ongoing vehicles. Or Wally felt that the pedestrians. So, what happened to the pedestrians? Yes, it would swallow. The bus would swallow the ongoing vehicles and the pedestrians. But it passed safely, crossing all hurdles, all obstacles. When the bus was moving, it seemed that the trees, they were rushing towards the bus and would stop as soon as the bus reached them. Then as the bus crossed them, again, Wally felt that it appeared as if the trees were running away from the bus. Okay, so once again I'll read the paragraph, children. The bus rolled on, now cutting across a bare landscape. I told you the meaning of bare landscape, a barren land. Now the bus is rushing through a tiny hamlet and past an odd wayside shop. Hamlet, I told you. Here in this context, the meaning of hamlet is a small settlement with a few houses. Sometimes the bus seemed on the point of gobbling. What's the meaning of gobbling? Gobbling here, to swallow or eat hastily. So sometimes the bus seemed on the point of gobbling up another vehicle that was coming towards them or a pedestrian crossing the road. But somehow it passed on smoothly without any problem, leaving all obstacles safely behind. Then Wally felt trees came running towards them, but then the bus stopped as the bus reached them and simply stood there helpless for a moment by the side of the road before rushing away in the other direction. So what's the meaning of the last sentence, children? Trees came running towards them, but then stopped as the bus reached them and simply stood there helpless for a moment by the side of the road before rushing away in the other direction. All these are about the views or about the viewpoints of Wally, an 8-year-old girl. This was her first experience in a bus. So she felt that when the bus was moving, she felt that All the trees were rushing towards the bus and would stop as soon as the bus reached them. Okay, so as the bus crossed them, as the bus moved on, it appeared as if the trees were running away from the bus. Okay. Suddenly, Wally clapped her hands with glee. A young cow, tail high in the air, was running very fast, right in the middle of the road, right in front of the bus. The bus slowed to a crawl, and the driver sounded his horn loudly again and again. But the more he honked, the more frightened the animal became, and the faster it galloped, always right in front of the bus. Okay, so the word glee. Suddenly, Wally clapped her hands with glee. Glee means happiness and joy. So suddenly, Wally was filled with happiness and joy. What's the reason, children? Yes, she saw a young cow, tail high in the air, was running very fast right in the middle of the road. I mean, right in front of the bus. Okay, so what happened there, children? Wally, she was clapping her hands with happiness. What's the reason? Suddenly, a cow came running in the middle of the road right in front of their bus. So the bus driver slowed down the bus to give her way and honked repeatedly. The driver honked repeatedly. Unfortunately, what happened to the cow, children? It became more frantic, it became more terrified and ran in front of the bus. As the driver blew more horns, the cow became wild and kept on running faster and faster. Okay, somehow this was very funny to Wally. So once again, children, I'll give you the explanation. Wally clapped her hands with the happiness. What's the reason, children? Suddenly she saw a young cow. Its tail was held high in the air. It was running very fast right in the middle of the road, right in front of the bus. So the bus driver slowed the bus to a crawl and he sounded his horn loudly again and again. But what was the result, children? Yes, as the driver blew more horns, the cow became more wild. Okay, the cow became more wild. It became wild and kept on running faster and faster, always right in front of the bus. Clear? Let's move on to the next paragraph. Somehow, this was very funny to Wally. She laughed and laughed until there were tears in her eyes. Hey lady, haven't you laughed enough? Called the conductor. Better save some for tomorrow. At last, the cow moved off the road and soon the bus came to a railroad crossing. A speck of a train could be seen in the distance, growing bigger and bigger as it drew near. Then it rushed past the crossing the gate with a tremendous roar and rattle. Shaking the bus, yes, then it rushed past the crossing the gate with a tremendous roar and rattle, shaking the bus. Then the bus went on and passed the train station. From there, it traversed a busy, well-laid out shopping street and entered a wild thoroughfare. Not a thoroughfare, children, thorough, Thorough, thoroughfare. Such big, bright-looking shops. What glittering displays of clothes and other merchandise. Such big crowds, struck dumb with wonder, Wally gaped at everything. So, what is going on there, children? Yes, struck dumb with wonder, Wally gaped at everything. So, from the beginning, once again, let me read the first portion. Somehow, this was very funny to Wally. She laughed and laughed until there were tears in her eyes. So, what happened to her, children? Yes, Wally found the cow extremely humorous. It felt very funny to Wally. So, what did she do? She laughed and laughed to the extent that brought tears to her eyes. She laughed and laughed until there were tears in her eyes. So she laughed to the extent that brought tears to her eyes. Again, the conductor came and asked, "Hey lady, haven't you laughed enough? Better save some for tomorrow." See, again the conductor is trying to tease her by telling her that it was enough for the day and she should save some laughter for the next day. So again, the conductor, what did he do, children? Again, he didn't waste the time to tease her. So what did he do? "Hey lady, haven't you laughed enough?" called the conductor. "Better save some for tomorrow. So again, the conductor teased her by telling her that it was enough for the day and she should save some laughter for the next day. Okay, at last, the cow moved off the road, and as soon as the bus came to a railroad crossing. So, what happened there, children? Yes, the cow, it has gone, or the cow moved off the road, and soon the bus came to a railroad crossing. Okay, then a speck of a train could be seen in the distance, growing bigger and bigger as it drew near. So, the train. So, at last, the bus stopped at the railway crossing from where the train was visible as a tiny dot. A speck of a train, a tiny dot of a train could be seen in the distance, growing bigger and bigger as it drew nearer. So, the speck means a tiny spot. So, as the train came nearer, it grew larger in size, and the train passed with a huge roar. See, then it rushed past the crossing gate with a tremendous roar and rattle, shaking the bus too. So, what happened then, children? See, the cow went off the road on its own, and the bus stopped at a level crossing from where the train was visible as a tiny dot. A speck of a train means a tiny dot. So, the train was visible as a tiny dot. As the train came nearer, it grew larger. Its size became larger, and at last the train passed with a huge roar, thus shaking the entire road and the bus along with it. Okay, tremendous roar and rattle shaking the bus. Then the bus went on and passed the train station. Okay, so from there it travels a busy, well-laid shopping street. So on taking a turn, so the bus started moving and reached a narrow street. Then on taking a turn, it reached a wider road. Have you seen that? Yes, from there it traversed a busy, well laid out shopping street and turning entered a wider thoroughfare. See, what's the meaning of thoroughfare, children? Thoroughfare means a busy public road. So at last the bus started moving and it reached a narrow street. Then while taking a turn, it reached a wider road, a busy public road. There were big, brightly lit shops on the road that displayed merchandise for sale. What's the meaning of merchandise, children? See, here is the meaning. It's written in your textbook, children. Merchandise means things for sale. So, what happened there, children? Such a big, bright looking shops, what glittering displays of clothes and other merchandise. It's the meaning of merchandise, things for sale. Okay, so what happened to Wali, children? Yes, struck dumb with wonder, Wali gaped at everything. She glanced at each and everything with her mouth wide opened. What happened, children? Yes, she was totally surprised. She was struck dumb with wonder. She wondered how big shops were there. She was attracted towards all the lights and decorations that has been seen in different shops. So she glanced at each and everything with a widely open mouth. Wali gaped at everything. Okay, so she glanced at each and everything. Clear? Okay, let's move on to the next portion. Then the bus stopped and everyone got off except Wali. Hey lady, said the conductor, aren't you ready to get off? This is as far as your 30 pies takes you. No, Wali said. I am going back on this same bus. She took another 30 pies from her pocket and handed the coins to the conductor. Why? Is something the matter? No, nothing the matter. Nothing is the matter. So, what's the question? Why is something the matter? No, nothing is the matter. I just felt like having a bus ride, that's all. Don't you want to have a look at the sights now that you are here? All by myself, see? All by myself. Oh, I would be much too afraid. Greatly amused by the girl's way of speaking, the conductor said, But you weren't afraid to come in the bus. Nothing to be afraid of about that. She answered, Well then, why not go to that stall over there and have something to drink? Nothing to be afraid of about that either. Oh no, I couldn't do that. Well, then let me bring you a cold drink. No, I don't have enough money. Just give my ticket, that's all. Okay, children. So let's see the explanation. So what happened to Valli, children? Yes, she was wondered by seeing the different types of shops and its lighted decorations. She gaped at everything. She looked at each and everything on the different shops. Okay, she looked at each and every shops that she could see on the road. Then at last the bus stopped and everyone got off. Yes, at last what happened, children? Yes, the bus arrived at its destination. Then the bus stopped and everyone got off except Valli. So what's going on there, children? Yes, the bus arrived at its destination. That means the bus reached the nearby town. And everyone except Valli deboarded the bus. What's the meaning deboarded, children? Everyone got off the bus except Valli. So the conductor informed her that this was the last stop, and just then she took out another 30 paisa from her pocket to buy a ticket back to village. Did you understand, children? Yes, the conductor said, "Hey lady, aren't you ready to get off? This is as far as your 30 paise takes you." Then what's the reply given by Valli? No, Valli said, "I am going back on this same bus." Then what she do? She took another 30 paise from her pocket and handed the coins to the conductor. Then the conductor asked, "Why, is something the matter? What's the matter?" "No, nothing is the matter. I just felt like having a bus ride. That's all. I just want a bus ride. That's all. Don't you want to have a look at the sights now that you're here?" Yes, again the conductor asked, "Don't you want to have a look at the sights?" Then what's the reply? "All by myself, I would be much too afraid." So what did she say, children? She told him that she was too afraid for that. Did you get that, children? Yes, she told the bus conductor that she was too afraid for that. Then the conductor, what did he do? Greatly amused by the girl's way of speaking, the conductor said, "But you weren't afraid to come in the bus?" The conductor asked while maintaining his nature all throughout the journey. So he replied by saying that she wasn't afraid to travel alone in the bus without anyone's help. What did she do? Yes, she took her journey without anybody's help, without anybody's notice. What did she do? She sneaked out of her house and went for a journey. Went for a journey to the nearby town. So what? But you weren't afraid to come in the bus. So she answered, "Nothing to be afraid of that." Yes, it's a bus journey. She wasn't afraid to travel alone in a bus without anyone's help. Then why she was afraid of roaming in the town? So to this, Valli replied confidently that as far as the bus ride was concerned, there was nothing to be afraid in it. So what's the reply given by her, children? Nothing to be afraid of about that. Traveling in a bus, it's not a thing that should be afraid, or nothing to be afraid about a bus journey. Well then, why not go to that stall over there and have something to drink? Nothing to be afraid about that either. Then again, the bus conductor asked her to have a drink in that nearby shop. "Oh no, I couldn't do that," she answered. "Oh no, I couldn't do that." "Well then, let me bring you a cold drink." So now the bus conductor, what did he do, children? Yes, he offered her a drink. Then again, "No, I don't have enough money. Just give me my ticket, that's all." So what's going on there, children? Yes, the bus conductor asked her if she wished to have a drink at the nearby stall or the shop, if she could bring her a drink if she was afraid to go out of the bus. But Valli told her that she didn't have enough money for a drink. Then at last, the conductor insisted on it being his treat, but Valli denied, and both of them waited for a new set of passengers to board. Did you get the sentence, children? Yes. "No, I don't have enough money. Just give me my ticket, that's all." Yes, she was very courageous. She denied his offer. So then what did she say? "Yes, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. Just give me my ticket, that's all. It will be my treat and not cost you anything." So here the bus conductor offers her a drink and he says, "It will not cost you anything. It will not cost you anything. You don't want to pay anything for me. It's my treat. It's an offer." "No, no," she said. "Please, no." So she denied that drink. She refused to accept that offer. So the conductor shrugged and they waited until it was time for the bus to begin the return journey. Again, there were in many passengers. Okay, so both of them, they waited for a new set of passengers to board the bus, and this time too there were fewer passengers. There weren't many passengers. Okay, so let's move on to the fourth session. Won't your mother be looking for you? The conductor asked when he gave the girl her ticket. No, no one will be looking for me, she said. The bus started. Again, there was the same wonderful sights. So, what's going on there, children? Yes, concerned about Wali. Again, the conductor asked if her mother would be looking for her as she was all alone. Won't your mother be looking for you? So, Wali instantly replied that no one was waiting on her. No one was waiting for her. So, no one will be looking for me, she said. And the bus started, and again there were the same wonderful sights. Okay, Wali wasn't bored in the slightest and greeted everything with the same excitement she had felt the first time. But suddenly she saw a young cow lying dead by the roadside, just where it had been struck by some fast moving vehicle. Okay, so what's going on there, children? Yes, her return journey began, isn't it? And Wali was just excited as the first time. She was very excited. So she was just excited as the first time. She was looking at everything enthusiastically. But suddenly she noticed a cow lying dead by the roadside. What happened there, children? Yes, suddenly she saw a young cow lying dead by the roadside, just where it had been struck by some fast moving vehicle. So, it must have been hit by a fast moving vehicle. So, she thought that it must have been hit by a fast moving vehicle. So, what did she do, children? Yes. Isn't that the same cow that ran in front of the bus on our trip to town? She asked the conductor. The conductor nodded, and she was overcome with a sadness. What had been a lovable, beautiful creature just a little while ago had now suddenly lost its charm and its life and looked so horrible, so frightening as it lay there, legs spread-eagled, a fixed stare in its lifeless eyes. Blood all over. So, what's going on there, children? Yes. Wali confirmed with the conductor that it was the same cow that they had seen earlier. See the question? Isn't that the same cow that in front of the bus, that ran in front of the bus on our trip to town? She asked the conductor. Yes, what did she do, children? Yes, she confirmed with the conductor that it was the same cow that they had seen earlier. Then the conductor nodded. Yes, the conductor agreed to it, and she was overcome with the sadness. She was so sad. She became sad. Okay, her mood experienced a shift towards sadness. She was so enthusiastic, but at the same moment she became so sad. What is the reason, children? Yes, she wondered how a lovable and playful creature instantly transformed into a horrible, lifeless one. See, here it is. What's the condition of the dead cow, children? Yes, what had been a lovable, beautiful creature just a little while ago had now suddenly lost its charm, lost its beauty, lost its life, and looked so horrible, so terrible, so frightening as it lay there on the road. A legs spread eagle. What's the meaning of spread eagle, children? Spread out, legs spread out, a fixed stare in its lifeless eyes, blood all over. So she wondered how a lovable and playful creature suddenly transformed into a horrible, lifeless one. Okay, so the bus moved on. The memory of the dead cow haunted her and dampening her enthusiasm. She no longer wanted to look out of the window. So what happened to her, children? Yes, the sight of the dead cow robbed Wali of her enthusiasm. Yes, the bus moved on. The memory of the cow now haunted her. See the meaning of haunted, children? Yes, it was impossible to forget. Returned repeatedly to her mind. So, dampening her enthusiasm, she became so sad. Clear? Sight of the dead cow robbed Wali of her enthusiasm, and now she stopped looking out of the window. She sat thus, glued to her seat, until the bus reached her village at 3:40. She stood up and stretched herself. Then she turned to the conductor and said, "Well, sir, I hope to see you again." So, what did she do, children? She sat silently on her seat until she reached home at around 3:40. Clear? See the sentences here? Yes, she sat thus, glued to her seat, until the bus reached her village at 3:40. So, what did she do? She became so sad. She stopped looking out of the window. She sat silently on her seat until she reached home at around 3:40. So, what did she do? She stood up and stretched herself. Then she turned to the conductor and said, "Well, sir, hope to see you again. See you again." So, "Okay, madam," he answered her, smiling. "Whenever you feel like a bus ride, come and join us. And don't forget to bring your fare." So again, what's happening there, children? Yes, while deboarding, so while she was getting down from the bus, she conveyed her intention of seeing the conductor again. To which the conductor replied in a funny manner, in a sarcastic manner. He told her not to forget her fare the next time she intended to travel. So have you seen that sentence? "Okay, madam," he answered her, smiling. "Whenever you feel like a bus ride, come and join us. But don't forget to bring your fare." She laughed and jumped down from the bus, and then away she went, running straight for home. So thus Vali went home. Clear? Next paragraph. When she entered her house, she found her mother awake and talking to one of Vali's aunts, the one from South Street. This aunt was a real chatterbox, never closing her mouth once she started talking. "And where have you been?" said her aunt when Wali came in. She spoke very casually, not expecting a reply. So Wali just smiled, and her mother and aunt went on with their conversation. So what's going on there, children? Yes, when she reached home, she found her mother awake from her afternoon nap. Okay, so when she reached home, she found her mother awake from her afternoon nap. 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 What's the meaning of nap? A short sleep. So her mother, what she was doing there, children? Yes, when she entered her house, she found her mother awake and talking to one of Wali's aunts, the one from South Street. So her mother was walking to one of her aunts who lived in the South Street. Then the aunt spoke so much that Wali called her a chatterbox. This aunt was a real chatterbox, never closing her mouth once she started talking. Okay, so it's very familiar to you, the meaning of chatterbox. Okay, so the aunt spoke so much that Wali called her a real chatterbox, never closing her mouth once she started talking. So it's difficult to make her stop talking. Then, "Where have you been?" said her aunt when Wali came in. So she even asked Wali a question. And without giving her enough time to reply, she continued her talking. See, have you seen that sentence? "And where have you been?" said her aunt when Wali came in. She spoke very casually, not expecting a reply from Wali. So Wali just smiled, and her mother and aunt went on with their conversation. Okay, so her real chatterbox aunt, she did not want any reply from Wali. So what did she do? She continued her talking without expecting a reply from Wali. So Wali just smiled, and her mother and aunt went on with their conversation. Okay. "Yes, you are right," her mother said. "So many things in our midst and in the world outside. How can we possibly know about everything? And even when we do know about something, we often can't understand it completely, can't we?" Yes, what is going on there, children? Yes, while her mother and aunt were conversing, her mother was heard talking about the endless possibilities in the world. One was aware about it, one was unaware about, and even if one know, it was another thing to understand it. So what is going on there, children, in that second paragraph, not the first paragraph? Yes, it's already given in the last slide. Okay, so listen. "Yes, you are right." They continued their conversation, isn't it? While her mother and aunt were conversing, her mother was heard talking like this. What it is, children? Yes, you are right. So many things in our midst and in the world outside. How can we possibly know about everything? And even when we do know about something, we often can't understand it completely, can we? So what's the meaning of that sentences given by Wali's mother, children? Yes, Wali's mother says, or she was talking about the endless possibilities in the world. See, the endless possibilities in the world one was aware about, one was unaware about. And even if one knew, it was another thing to understand it. Did you get the sentence, children? Yes, so many things in our midst and in the world outside. How can we possibly know about everything? And in some cases, even when we do know about something, we often can't understand it completely. So this is what is the question asked by Wali's mother. So once again, children, I'll give you the explanation. So while her mother and aunt were conversing, her mother was heard talking about the endless possibilities in the world. One was unaware about it. And even if one knew, it was another thing to understand it. So what's the reply given by Wali, children? See, here it is, children. Oh yes, breathed Wali. What? Asked her mother. What is that you say? Oh, said Wali, I was just agreeing with that you said about things happening without our knowledge. Just a chit of a girl, she is, said her aunt, and yet look how she pokes her nose into our conversation, just as though she were a grand lady. Wali smiled to herself. She didn't want them to understand her smile. But then there wasn't much chance of that, was there? Okay, so what is going on there, children? Yes, Wali affirmed to what her mother was saying. By how, children? Oh, yes. See, what was her reply? Oh, yes. Then her mother asked, what? What is that you say? What are you saying? Oh, said Wali, I was just agreeing with what you said about things happening without our knowledge. So what she was doing there, children? Yes, Wali affirmed to what her mother was saying. Wali agreed to what her mother was saying, and she left both of them astonished. Both of them, Wali's mother and her aunt, both of them were surprised to hear her reply. What's the reason, children? Yes, she justified her action by mentioning that she was casually agreeing to what her mother was saying. Did you understand? She justified her reaction. What was her reaction, children? Yes, she agreed to her mother's opinion. So then what did she do? She then justified her reaction by mentioning that she was casually agreeing to what her mother was saying. Then her aunt then referred to Wali as a nose-poking child. What's the meaning, children? Pokes her nose means takes an interest in something that doesn't concern her. She takes an interest in something that doesn't concern her. Clear? So, what's the meaning of this one, children? Yes, here it is. The meaning of pokes her nose. What's the meaning of pokes her nose? Yes, she takes an interest in something that doesn't concern her. So her aunt then referred to Wali as a nose-poking child. What's the reason, children? Because she acted like a grown-up lady. Who acted like a grown-up lady? Yes, Wali acted like a grown-up lady, and she agreed to the opinion, or she agreed to the opinion given by her mother. Okay, just a chit of a girl she is. And yet, look how she pokes her nose into our conversation, just as though she were a grand lady. So, what's going on there, children? Yes, Wali's aunt referred to her as a nose-poking child who acted like a grown-up lady. Wali smiled to herself. Do you know the reason, children? Yes, she did not want them to understand her smile. But then there wasn't much chance of that, was there? So what's going on in that last two paragraphs, children? Yes, Wali's mother, she referred to Wali as a nose-poking child because she acted like a grown-up lady. She acted like a grown-up one. Okay, but only Wali knew what she was referring to. What's the reason, children? Because after all, no one knew about her bus journey. So she smiled to herself. She didn't want them to understand her smile. But then there wasn't much chance of that, was there? What's the reason, children? Yes, but there wasn't much chance of that, was there? So she knew that she was referring to. Only Wali knew what she was referring to. After all, no one knew about her bus journey. That is what is the sentence. Wali smiled to herself. She didn't want them to understand her smile. So what is the reason, children? No one knew about her bus journey, or no one knew about her bus journey. So but then there wasn't much chance of that, was there? Okay, children, here comes an end of our lesson. Read the lesson and write the given notes in a notebook. Okay, thank you, children. Have a nice day.